The streets of Turkey are once again alive with protest. Thousands have poured into the roads, their voices echoing with frustration and fury toward the Erdogan-led government. The spark this time? The arrest of Ekrem İmamoğlu, the brightest star in Turkish opposition politics, and without doubt, the most serious challenger to President Erdogan in years. İmamoğlu's popularity has soared ever since his strong and charismatic tenure as the mayor of Istanbul. He wasn't just seen as the future of the opposition, he was their confirmed choice. The Republican People's Party, CHP, founded by none other than modern Turkey's founder Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, was just days away from officially announcing him as their presidential candidate for the 2028 elections. It was going to be a historic showdown. And now, with İmamoğlu behind bars, Turkish democracy faces a defining test. But what exactly led to this political earthquake? According to the authorities, there are three major cases against Ekrem İmamoğlu. First, he's accused of embezzling public funds during his tenure as Istanbul's mayor, allegedly awarding contracts to close allies and bypassing standard procedures. The second case is more personal. He's charged with using indecent and disrespectful language toward Istanbul's public prosecutor, supposedly undermining a state institution. But the third, and most explosive accusation, is that of having links to Kurdish groups, some of which are classified as terrorist organizations in Turkey. This last charge carries immense political weight in Turkey, where any perceived association with Kurdish militancy is often used as a powerful weapon to discredit opponents. Whether these allegations hold any truth or not, the timing, just as İmamoğlu's political momentum was peaking, has raised serious questions about the real motives behind these cases. And this isn't the first attempt to undermine him. Just days before his arrest, Istanbul University, in a shocking and unprecedented move, revoked İmamoğlu's university degree, earned nearly 35 years ago. It might sound like a bureaucratic footnote, but under Turkish law, a university degree is a requirement to run for president. In a single blow, he was not only publicly humiliated, but also disqualified from the 2028 race. The timing was no coincidence. This was a surgical political strike. Back in 2022, he had already been sentenced to more than 2 years in prison for calling members of Turkey's Supreme Election Council fools, a comment made after the controversial annulment of his 2019 mayoral victory. That conviction, widely seen as politically motivated, sparked nationwide protests and international outrage. Mayors from across Europe even traveled to Istanbul in solidarity. From legal traps to academic sabotage, it's clear that this isn't about justice. It's about eliminating a rival whose popularity poses a real threat to the status quo. And make no mistake, İmamoğlu's popularity is deep and widespread. His political journey began in 2014 when he became mayor of Beylikdüzü, winning with 50.8% of the vote. But it was the 2019 Istanbul election that made him a national figure. He first won on March 31st, but Erdogan's ruling AKP pushed for a controversial annulment. When the vote was re-held on June 23rd, İmamoğlu didn't just win again, he crushed it, with 54% of the vote. It was a historic defeat for the AKP, which had controlled Istanbul for decades. In 2024, he secured another victory, winning re-election with 51%, a clear sign of enduring public trust. Many analysts believe that had he been the opposition's candidate in the 2023 presidential election, he might have defeated Erdogan, who barely scraped by. Opinion polls consistently show İmamoğlu as more popular than Erdogan himself, a fact that likely explains the urgent push to politically disable him. So, why this aggressive crackdown now? Simply put, Erdogan's once firm foundations are starting to crack. After over 22 years in power, the economic miracle that propelled him to dominance is crumbling. Inflation remains dangerously high, the middle class is shrinking, and daily essentials are unaffordable for many Turks. Despite burning through foreign reserves to prop up the lira, the currency continues to fall. Erdogan's controversial low-interest rate policy, in defiance of economic norms, has failed to stabilize the economy. And looming over all this is a growing cloud of corruption and nepotism. Much of the criticism targets Erdogan's inner circle, particularly his family. His son, Bilal Erdogan, is widely viewed as a behind-the-scenes power broker, influential in energy, shipping, and as a co-founder of TÜGVA, a powerful youth foundation. Some believe he's being groomed as Erdogan's eventual successor. His other son, Ahmet Burak Erdogan, keeps a low profile but is active in business circles, especially in construction and real estate. Then there's Selçuk Bayraktar, the celebrity CEO of Baykar Technologies and husband to Erdogan's daughter. Thanks to Turkey's drone success, he's seen by many as a potential political leader. Meanwhile, Berat Albayrak, Erdogan's other son-in-law, once held some of the most powerful economic positions in the country, serving as Minister of Energy and later as Minister of Treasury and Finance. Though he resigned in 2020 amid growing criticism and economic problems, his influence within pro-Erdogan business circles remains strong, especially in sectors like energy, construction, and foreign investment. To critics, this tight-knit family network has become a parallel state, powerful, protected, and beyond accountability. And with most of the media and judiciary under government control, any challenge, like Imamoglu, is seen as a threat that must be crushed. But Erdogan didn't act in a vacuum. His timing was calculated. His move against Imamoglu came when global attention was scattered and international criticism was unlikely. With Donald Trump back in the White House, the usual American pressure on authoritarian allies has faded. Trump's foreign policy, then and now, is more about strategic interests than democratic values. And Turkey remains a key player. It has NATO's second-largest army and sits at a critical geopolitical crossroads. With the Ukraine war ongoing, the EU relies on Turkey's role in regional stability. That dependence has led to a noticeable silence from Brussels, even as Erdogan tightens the screws at home. This silence isn't lost on Erdogan. He knows how to play geopolitical chess. By moving against Imamoglu now, he's gambling that the West won't push back hard, allowing him to neutralize his main opponent with minimal international fallout. Yet despite bans and brutal police crackdowns, Turkey's streets are speaking loud and clear. The opposition still enjoys deep-rooted public support. The arrest of Imamoglu has ignited massive anger. Opposition leaders have called it a political coup, a direct attempt to eliminate their strongest presidential candidate. In response, they've vowed to hold protests twice a week, demanding his release and calling for early elections. In the early days, the response was staggering, with some reports claiming over 1 million people rallied in Istanbul alone. Their demands are clear: release political prisoners, restore justice, and let the people choose their leader freely. But Erdogan's answer has been more repression. Hundreds of opposition members, campaigners, marketers, and even business allies have been arrested, sending a chilling message to dissenters. And now, Erdogan is playing another risky card: divide and conquer. In a controversial move, he's reportedly reaching out to Abdullah Öcalan, the jailed leader of the outlawed Kurdish militant group PKK. Öcalan recently issued a statement from prison, urging his followers to abandon armed struggle and adopt a softer tone. While this may sound like a peace gesture, many see it as a calculated political maneuver. Erdogan is attempting to win back Kurdish support, or at least drive a wedge between the Kurdish voter base and the opposition CHP. It's a classic tactic: fracture the opposition from within and weaken the united front standing against him. DEM, a Kurdish party, is currently an ally of CHP. Still, despite the crackdown and signs of fatigue, the resistance hasn't died. Imamoglu's party, the CHP, remains firmly united behind him. Mansur Yavaş, the mayor of Ankara and a senior figure from the same party, has also stood by Imamoglu's side, making it clear that he has no intention of exploiting the situation for personal gain. Instead, the CHP leadership is presenting a united front, signaling that the battle for Turkey's political future is far from over. Erdogan has ruled for over 22 years. An entire generation has grown up under his shadow. But this new generation, educated, digitally connected, and economically frustrated, is growing restless. They don't share the emotional loyalty that older voters may have. Their concerns are real: inflation, joblessness, and the rising cost of living, and they want change. So, Will Erdogan weather this storm too? Many believe he might, just as he's done so many times before. With control over the courts, the media, and the political machinery, and with key international allies remaining silent, he could hold on. But this time, the cracks are deeper. The economy is worse. The opposition is bolder. And the people, especially the youth, are angrier. The question now is not just about one man's arrest. It's about the future of Turkish democracy. And whether a nation tired of repression and corruption can still find the strength to fight back. What are your thoughts about these recent developments in Turkey? Be sure to write us in comments. Thank you.